going to be stay humble and do the work if you want to be a great product manager. So, hey, welcome. This is Tony with ProductManagerHub.io, where we talk all things product management. Welcome back to another installation of Life as a Product Manager, volume number 7. So, what we are going to cover in today's conversation is what's new at Product Management Hub. We'll kind of dive into some of the new things that we have released over this last week. And then we will talk a little bit about a weekly recap of living as a product manager within an enterprise organization, and then give you some of the key takeaways that I have encountered this week. So sit back and enjoy. Um, all right, first up, we're going to talk about what's new at Product Management Hub. This week, we released volume number 6 of our Ship It to Production newsletter. So that hit actually today on Friday. We highly encourage you actually go out to our website, productmanagerhub.io, and register for this particular newsletter. Some of the things that we end up covering within this newsletter specifically is going to be what product managers typically overlook. This week, we really hit on the UAT button once again, partly because I'm in the midst of UAT with a lot of stuff. But one of the things that we talked a little bit about is going to be how to expand your UAT to end users as well, and then also give you some tips behind how to craft a UAT specifically for end users. We always think that we sometimes just do a UAT and everybody gets the same testing sheets. That's not always the case. I always like to be a little bit more of a proponent to shape the conversation based off of the different layer of user. So anyway, we highly recommend you grab this Ship It to Production newsletter. And then we also, within that same newsletter, give you some of the weekly updates on our articles and any of the videos that we have put together. So that's one piece to it. The other thing that we're working on at Product Manager Hub is beginning to build some workshops for our community of practice. Once again, you absolutely can go to our website and join our community of practice. We would love to have you as a member. But one of the things that we're starting to work on is building tutorials around how to do market research on a new product to bring it into the market. So that's what's new at Product Management Hub. On to the next piece, which is going to be my life as a product manager, kind of a weekly recap. As you might know, if you've seen other videos, I like to break this down into 2 sections. It's really stakeholder management and development. So let's dive into the stakeholder management. This week, we spent roughly about 12 hours in meetings having conversations on all kinds of different stuff about product. One of the key takeaways is going to be relating back to the newsletter. One of the key takeaways that we had is going to be around the UAT development stuff. It is always, how do you continuously create a better experience for testers, especially when you're thinking about your product and how you're going to bring it to market. Once again, I go back to the other video that we had prior to this on volume number 6, and we talk a little bit more in depth of it, but invest the time into the UAT, invest the time into giving and providing scripts and an experience based off of the different types of users that are going to be using it. So, for example, the end users, there's different key aspects that we want them to dial into because an end user is going to specifically use it in, let's say, 5 different ways versus a stakeholder. They're more or less trying to understand maybe some of the KPIs or why we're bringing the product to market and some of the key functionalities. And then you have your data testers and your functional testers, which are just going to be going through and making sure that data looks good, ties off, and then functionality is working as expected. So, with that being said, even though you have a bunch of different layers within there, why would you give just one set of test scripts to all types of users? So, that is one of the key takeaways that I have this week is make sure that in UAT you are mindful of preparing documentation for all those different layers of users, which if you're, great at that and making sure that you're developing those pieces to it, then that is just going to continue us down the path as you get ready for launching a product. You can use any of those test scripts, any of those marketing pieces to build into your actual release from a marketing plan just as well. So it is never wasted the amount of time that you put into UAT. So that is a little bit of a recap on the stakeholder management side of things. Diving into the next piece, which is going to be the development house. Roughly, I spent about 15 hours this week. One of the biggest things that I kind of want to talk about is, we are kind of going through the process of changing the way we conduct story refinement. It has always been a little bit more of a secretive type refinement sessions where we might work with the tech leads in understanding how to unfold stories. One of the things that we're trying to do is encourage our team to be more involved and bring their wisdom to the table to call out different risks and stuff like that. So what we've been doing is increasing the number of refinement sessions that we have uh, to encourage this and call on the different individuals to give their 2 cents in how to view a story, how to break down a story, acceptance criteria in it. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? And the most interesting story that I have out of this week is me personally. I love to try to tie off as many things as possible going into any meeting. So it's always kind of like, hey, do I have the answer for this? Do I know this extensively? So if they ask me a technical question versus a business question, it is a very laborious process to sit there and try to be knowledgeable in many, many things. And so I spent hours and hours preparing for one of the first refinement sessions with this larger group. And I can tell you, within the first 15 minutes of diving in some of those stories, it just got torn apart, which is okay. It actually bruised my ego just a little bit of, hey, how did I not see it this way? But the biggest learning lesson that I had coming out of it is when you work in product as a product owner, product manager, um, whatever it may be, when you start getting into the level of working with your development team, try to remove yourself as trying to understand everything. I think that from a product manager, product owner standpoint, you should understand the business need. You should understand what you're trying to achieve so that you can then lean on the whole group of developers to help you break down those stories effectively. That is something that I learned. And like I said, coming into my first meeting, it was over prep, over anxious on how well it would go. And by the time we hit our second and third iteration of the refinement meeting, it was more or less, hey, create a good story with a good user story in it. A great as a so I can type story and then open it back up to the team to say, hey, here's what we're trying to achieve in this. Help me break it down into the different stories regarding front end, back end, any of the risk management behind it, who else should be involved. And it's more of a collaborative meeting instead of just read the story that I put together. Um, and so that is the takeaway on that is this week has been once again a little bit more anxious for me because I had to manage more of the stories and I learned pretty quickly not to do it the way that I did it. So that is my week in review for development is get out of your own way. And now for the final piece of it, which is going to be my weekly advice. It's going to tie into exactly what I was just talking about, but stay humble, do the work. You should never act like the smartest person in the room. I always think that it is great to have amazing knowledge in so many pieces when it comes to product management, but I think that walking into a room and sitting down with a curious mind, a continuous curious mind, is going to pay off so much better in the long run. Um, and that's just my advice for the week is even though you might know how to, for example, break down a story, even though you might sit there and listen to somebody talk about UX and how a user uses it, and you have been intimate into the product for so long that you think, well, no, this is just a better use case to it. To sit back and actually listen to somebody walk through how they use the system or how They think they should use the system is just an eye-opening experience all the time. And I am a huge proponent of just listening, taking notes, and asking questions of why. Why do you do it this way? Why do you click on this button? What do you really do with the information on this page? Is it really relevant? And just continuously asking those questions instead of just trying to lead the witnesses, as I say sometimes, is going to serve you so much better. So, to recap and keep it really, really simple, my biggest advice to you is going to be stay humble and do the work if you want to be a great product manager. So, if you want more information about Product Manager Hub, please visit our website, productmanagerhub.io. We have a wealth of information regarding articles, community practice. We started a new series about consulting. So if you're interested in consulting, check out some of the articles that we have written there. Stay humble, and we'll see you in the next video.